did I leave off? Oh yeah, it was that one time when our airplane broke in half in the middle of an intersection. If you missed how we got ourselves into this situation, how my husband talked me into buying this airplane, and how we got this far, make sure you go back and watch last week's video, come back and watch this one. Here we are in the middle of an intersection with our plane broken in half, the trailer not functioning anymore, and we're thinking, how are we gonna get this thing home? Thankfully, this literal breakdown happened in the middle of a dirt road that wasn't super busy, but still, we were in the middle of farm country. There were lots of tractors and other equipment that needed to use this intersection, and we're not very happy about us blocking the whole way. At this point, David was starting to get worried that the cops were going to get called, we might end up on the news, or we're going to have to pay big money to have this thing towed, or even worse, were they going to have to cut the nose of the airplane off just to get this thing out of the intersection? There was a farm employee from one of the farms down the road that stopped to see what was blocking this busy intersection for them. We asked about borrowing a heavy-duty jack that they might have in their shop that they use for their own big equipment. Unfortunately, he was pretty hesitant, which probably had a lot to do with the liability of something happening while we were borrowing his jack. We knew eventually we'd need some heavy-duty toe straps, and we knew we had some Menards toe straps at home. So since there was nothing more I could do here, David sent me home to get those. Unfortunately, when I got there, we realized we only had one strap. Hopefully our plane crash was only about 15 minutes from Plane's hardware store because that needs parts. With high hopes that eventually we could talk the farmer into letting us use his heavy-duty jack, David sent me to Blaine's Farm and Fleet to go and grab another giant toe strap. Thankfully, by the time I got back, David had successfully talked the farm employee into letting him borrow their heavy-duty jack. With this jack, they lifted the nose of the airplane ever so slightly just to take the weight off of the tongue and to allow them to be able to put the two permanent jacks hooked up to the airplane trailer down. With all three jacks down, they slowly limped the airplane, pulling it with the truck, dragging the jacks out of the intersection and onto the side of the road. I really wish I had footage of this, but unfortunately I was en route to get the tow strap, and since it was pretty stressful with all hands on deck, we have no footage of this sketchy maneuver. After the initial shock of our plane crash wore off, we sent out a Hail Mary text to our new friends Greg and Johnny. Thankfully, they got our SOS text. This time they were totally prepared. They came with their motorhome, a few tools, some helpful ideas, and a lot of optimism. They were sure that we were going to be able to make it home, maybe not exactly in one piece, but home nonetheless. Once we were finally out of the intersection, we were able to start hooking up the giant toe straps in hopes of getting this thing home. They anchored one end of the toe strap to the trailer underneath of the airplane. They then pulled the strap up over the nose, through the cracked part of the airplane, and then anchored to the top of the plane. Thankfully, this plane still had wing anchors on the top, so we did have something sturdy to hook up the other end of the toe strap to. The true test was when we had to lift up the jacks attached to the airplane trailer and see if our toe straps would actually hold. So we thought we had all day to get this plane and get it home, but it started at 8 o'clock this morning and it's time to pick our kids up, and the plane's still not home. Luckily, our pit crew is helping us out and being our flashers, so I can run and get the kids, so the adventure continues.
Johnny,
we can do this.
Greg's helping, Johnny's helping.
Okay, I'm gonna put some Gorilla Tape around this sucker. So
all right, so it stays in place.
Stays in place.
All right.
Gorilla Tape. Johnny, can you grab that pry bar? Yeah.
Had to go pick up the kiddos too.
With only 5 miles to go and our spotters and pit crew in place, we gave it another go.
Moving a giant airplane here, and kiddo needs to take a poop, I guess.
Well, we are in the home stretch. We have about a mile left. Our pit crew is helping us out back there. They're still following us. And it is now 5:09, so it has been a full day of traveling. We now have extras in the back. And I just ordered pizza because I am freaking starving. Yeah, hopefully we can make the turn into our driveway. That's the last big test, I think, for us. So at around 5:30 p.m., we finally rolled up to our driveway. Give us a thumbs up if you are at least a little impressed that we actually made it to our driveway. Turning into our driveway was going to be a little bit challenging because there were railroad ties on both sides of the driveway, along with 2 small ditches. Thankfully, we live on a rural dirt road out in the country, so we weren't holding up very much traffic, which was a really good thing because it took us way longer than you would have expected to try to make that turn.
Ooh, that turn's tight. Ride that railroad tie. Still got our pit through here though. You're doing a great job. What do you think, Obi? Is it cool?
He's got it. Greg, he has to hug it tight to his leg. Big hug to it.
There are a few more straps than when we left on. Oh, not bad. We made it. And we made it in the driveway. It's a good day.
Home at last. After we finally got our airplane parked and out of the way, we celebrated with beer and pizza and swapping stories from the trip home. We were still in somewhat of a shock that even after smoking tires, a major plane crash, somehow we made it home. We were so thankful for Greg, Johnny, and so many other helpful people with fire extinguishers, buckets of water, and jacks along the way. We truly would not have made it home without them.
This guy stopped by with a minivan, and he's just like, oh man, you don't see those every day. And it's like, oh no, the front. And I'm like, yeah, that's bad, very bad. And he's like, take my number down. I have business, and somebody might know might be interested in it, but just take my number down. I'm like, all right, you know. Yeah, what's your business? I clean gravestones.
I wish this guy did my marketing because obviously he's really good at marketing.
He's like, just take my number down. You can fucking run. I'm like, gosh, now I'm a little scared. Am I gonna die or something?
Be sure to subscribe to the Bring Her Home channel so you'll be the first to see next week's video, which will be a full tour of the inside and the outside of our airplane.